Inspiration is just a story away.
Welcome to Inspiring Lives with Dr. Shelley. I'm your host, Dr. Shelley Hipsky. All of my guests have conquered obstacles, risen above adversity, and have gone on to help others. Today's show is about the importance of organ donation and the beauty of a loving family. Our first guest knows firsthand what it's like to be a sick child in need of medical care. Her family came to America in search of a better life and with the hope of meeting her specific medical needs. Our guest has had a lifetime of dialysis and multiple organ transplants. But today, against all odds, she's now a mother herself. Please welcome Fernanda Iglesias. Thank you so much for being on my show, Fer.
Thank you, Shelley, for this great opportunity.
Absolutely. So can you take us back to what it was like living in Argentina and being a very sick child?
Yes. Unfortunately, my recollections of that time are a little bit blurred because of my illness. I was sick since I was probably around 2 years old. Right then and then, the doctors gave my mother a very grim diagnosis about my life, or lack thereof. It was very hard. There were a lot of moments of uncertainty about what was going to happen with me. I've had constant trips to the hospital and the doctors. In fact, the hospital was, for a very long time, my second home. Just a lot of medical turmoil in my life. This affected my life and my family's life also. But through it all, we supported each other. My family is my main support system. My mother was always there for me. She took care of me and protected me in every way imaginable. My father and my mother both, they made sure that I had a normal childhood in spite of what was going on with my medical condition. Both of them, and I have to say my mother in particular is my inspiration and my source of hope and energy. And then there's my sister Allie, who she helped me a lot during the very awkward middle school years, where they can be tough enough if you don't have anything wrong with you, but if you have an illness, it can actually get a lot hairy. So Ali always helped me get through good times and bad times, just telling me to just forge ahead and never give up.
Excellent. So tell me about your mother. I know that she really fought for you and for you to get what you needed medically. Can you talk about that?
Yes, Mom, wow, she's an amazing person.
She is, I love her.
Yes, you met her, she's great. We all love her very much. She did a lot to start an organ donation campaign in Argentina. When I was 13, I started dialysis and I was put on the transplant list for a kidney. When my mother inquired about how long it would take for me to get this transplant, the answer was not satisfactory. There was not much awareness in Argentina at the time on organ donation. So, anywhere she turned, it was just not a satisfactory outcome.
Right.
As my health took a turn for the worse, she took my case to the Ministry of Health, unfortunately to no avail. They did not listen to her. All my mom wanted was for her kid to be better. So she wanted her voice to be heard. And she found that. There was an organization in Buenos Aires, Argentina called FUNI, which is the Foundation for the Future of the Children. And with their help, Mom was able to reach the press and convey her message. And also, FUNI named my mother Vice President of Hemodialysis and Transplantation for their division. And they, together with their help, Mom became a crucial part of creating this organ donation campaign, which still plays in the media, TV, magazines, print ads, and even at the movies.
Oh, wow.
After, 21 years later, and it's still active, the campaign.
And your family was sort of at the forefront of this campaign.
Yes, my mother in particular, because she's the one who was trying to find a solution for my problem, and you know, she got shut down many times, but Mom doesn't give up very easily.
No, she doesn't.
But that is not all. She also, her plea reached the president of Argentina. And Mom started working with legislators to change the law for organ donation, which at the time it was an optional thing. If you wanted to be an organ donor, you can be, and if not, you don't have to be. So the law now is everybody is an organ donor unless you explicitly say that you don't want to be one. Okay. And taking you back 20 years ago in Argentina, actually this is more like 24 years ago, if you wanted to be an organ donor, you would have to go to an organ donation center, which nobody knew where it was, and register. Yeah. So people were not aware of this at all. So as you can imagine, the change in the law did wonders for organ availability.
Absolutely. And when I think of organ availability and organs, I think back to when I wrote my book, Ordinary People, Extraordinary Planet. Yes. And one of the people that I was able to interview for that book was Sandy Anderson. And she was that amazing woman who actually was a Starbucks employee. Yes. And she was standing behind the counter, and one of her typical customers came up, and instead of asking for a latte that day, she saw that the woman that was there, Anna Marie, was having a really hard day, and she said, you know, what's going on with you? And Sandy said, what do you need? And she said, I need a kidney transplant. And yes. Sandy was so moved that she actually said, if I'm a match, I'll give you my kidney. And she did, and it was covered on CNN. They did a whole documentary on it, and she just has an amazing story.
And how fantastic is it? She said what she needed. Yes. She could have said, well, I'm having a headache or I'm having a bad day, but she said, I need a kidney. And how wonderful that this other angel came up and said, I will give it to you if I can.
Absolutely.
That to me is unbelievable. There's so many good people in the world that need to be reached. Yes.
I totally agree. Fair Iglesias will be back a little bit later, but first, after the short break, we'll meet Dr. Jack Jacobs. He's a highly respected kidney specialist who's been practicing for 34 years. He's also played a very unique role in the creation of this program. We'll talk to him a little bit more about Fair's medical condition and about the importance of medical organ donation. Stay with us.
Inspiration is just a story away.
I'm inspired by young people.
Okay.
Young men especially, because they seem to have a lot of challenges today. You know, just trying to achieve their goals, and I want to be a part of that. I like to help young guys reach their potential. So one way I like to do that is going over to organizations, one in particular, the AYD program on the north side, and spending time with the guys and talking about food, nutrition, and discipline, and just how to become a winner.
Okay, so you're talking about becoming a winner, you're talking about discipline, but what's the key component to that particular organization? Is it judo?
It is judo.
Okay.
The big thing with the AYD program is they use judo as a form of discipline, and to have discipline in their actions, and discipline in what they talk about and what they think about. My role is to help them become more disciplined in their food choices. So the combination of the food choices and the judo hopefully will make them good competitors.
Remember, we want to know what's inspiring you, so be sure to go to inspiringlivesinternational.com and tell us your story. We've been talking with Fair Iglesias about her need for a transplant at a very young age. Joining us now is a medical doctor who's been a kidney specialist for over 3 decades. Please welcome to Inspiring Lives, Dr. Jack Jacobs, or as I like to call you, Dad. While you were never Fair's doctor, you did get a chance to sit down with her and her family and discuss her medical history. What symptoms does a child have or an adult have when they're going through dialysis?
Well, kidney disease is fairly asymptomatic in the early stages. patients frequently don't know they have any kidney disease or any disease at all. As the kidneys become more damaged from whatever, they start to develop fatigue, and later on nausea, vomiting. Eventually they'll drift into a coma and not recover unless something's done. Dialysis helps, but it doesn't help a lot. People who are on dialysis usually have less than 10% of their normal kidney function, but dialysis only gives you another 10% or so. So these folks who are on dialysis don't have the energy level that other patients do, that normal patients do. They tend to have low blood counts and fatigue most of the time, some nausea. As I think Farah described, memory and concentration are affected too, as the waste products that your kidneys are supposed to get rid of build up in your body.
Farah had 3 transplants, and I know that they have to put them on here and then they put it in here, and so they kind of switch them out. But how common is it that a transplant doesn't last a lifetime?
The only transplants that are likely to last a lifetime are from identical twins. Everybody else has some degree of incompatibility. A very good match may last 20 or 30 years. A poorer match may only last a few years. Some don't last more than a day or two.
And so do they go toxic, or what happens when...
Your body has defenses against foreign proteins. The foreign proteins are in the kidney, and you make antibodies to those foreign proteins and reject it. Patients get medications of various sorts to keep them from rejecting the kidney, but that's a problem also because it keeps them from rejecting tumors and infections. So these folks are always at some risk.
Okay. So we like to focus here at Inspiring Lives on different nonprofit organizations, different charitable organizations. Can you tell us about the National Kidney Foundation?
Yeah, the National Kidney Foundation is a nonprofit group which helps kidney patients. It has local chapters in most of the counties across the country, and donations go from folks who are interested in kidney disease to folks who have kidney disease. It's a very good organization and well run. Most counties have their own chapters, and they're staffed by folks who are interested in kidney disease.
When Farah was a grown woman, she actually had a child. And why is that such a rare event? Why is she that considered so unusual?
Women who are of childbearing age usually are not on dialysis. Very few women in that age group are on dialysis, and their fertility is very low. Few patients who are on dialysis can get pregnant, and when they get pregnant, over 50% of those babies are lost early in the pregnancy. This is because of hormonal issues as well as anemia that these folks have, and they don't do well with pregnancy. When they have pregnancies that go to term, usually the children are normal, but there's a pretty high risk for both the mother and the baby throughout the pregnancy.
So really it's a wonderful thing that Sophie is with us and is doing well. She's now 9 years old, so that's fantastic.
Yeah, and very unusual. In the 34 years that I was in practice, we only had one pregnancy that went to term. Really?
Wow, okay. Yeah, because I remember that you used to tell Mom that, you know, you didn't have to work with the OBGYNs because you didn't have, at that time, you didn't have people that were pregnant and coming to term, but you did have one during your 34 years. So this really is a pretty special case. The other thing that's really special about the Iglesias family is what they've done for organ donation. And what's your take on that?
I think that's fantastic. Patients in the United States have a fairly large donor population. In other countries, that's not necessarily the case. The idea that being an organ donor is the default now in Argentina is great. I wish we had that here. We have 350,000 patients on dialysis, and only about 15,000 per year are transplanted. So that's less than 5%.
So everyone that's on dialysis could benefit from a transplant?
No.
Okay.
No, you have to be otherwise fairly healthy.
Okay.
Patients over the age of 70 are usually not offered transplants. Patients who have significant heart disease or other medical problems would not do well with the transplant. The operation is not a huge operation,
Okay.
but the immunosuppressive drugs are pretty difficult to handle if you have a lot of other medical problems.
What's an immunosuppressant drug? Please.
Those are the drugs.
Layman's term.
Those are the drugs that keep you from rejecting the kidney
Oh, okay.
and make you more susceptible to tumors and infections.
Okay, excellent. Well, Dad, it's been awesome having you on as my medical expert. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming
You're welcome.
to
Thank
the
you.
studio. And when we return, Jennifer Hain will join us with a very special edition of Gratitude Giving. Then our good friend, Fair Iglesias, will be back with someone who's very close to her, like I got to have my dad here today. Please stay with us.
Hello, this is Jennifer Hain bringing to you Gratitude Giving. The company we are going to be representing today is called Little Lady Studio. This studio was founded back in 2004 by a woman named Jessie Jensen. And Jessie has years of experience as an entrepreneur in the business world and the arts, design, also as a project manager and account manager. All of her successes have led her to creating the Little Lady Studio, which is made to raise awareness for women, support women, and inspire women around the world. Through her efforts, she has created three main categories in this organization. She creates social stationery, which come themed, this one being peace. And then one of our favorite pieces is My Pop, and that actually incorporates contemporary art that she sells. And the third piece that is our absolute favorite is the jewelry that she designs. Every piece of jewelry comes with an individual message. Today, I am wearing the Raw and Ready piece, which instills in women that they should have a readiness to inspire the world. Today, we also have women with us wearing individual pieces of jewelry and bringing you their message.
Hi, my name's Ashley, and I'm wearing the Empower gold coin earrings. These earrings carry a bold social statement about empowering women.
Hi, my name is Alice. A woman's nature and energy are the source of inspiration for these intriguing and clean design earrings. Intrigue.
Hi, I'm of course Dr. Shelley, and mine is trust and commitment. Women need to trust in global collaboration and be committed to their own mission and goals. We saw this when we talked to Joanna Lee of the WEAS organization. She's actually the one who told us about the Little Lady Studios and how they were helping the WEAS organization in Tanzania, Africa, to empower the women there to do fantastic things, to grow and to build in their own communities. So we're building in the community in Africa, and we're building here in the States.
So as you can see, these jewelry pieces empower women in so many ways with the inspirational messages that come along with them. We mentioned that Jessie Jensen does social stationery, her jewelry pieces, and her My Pop segments. My Pop is basically incorporating contemporary art, and she sells it online. And not only that, I actually had the opportunity to speak with Jessie recently. She just came back from Tanzania, where she was working with a choir there. And while there, she acquired a musical piece that she could incorporate into her My Pop online. And so speaking with Jessie and the opportunities that she's taking to empower women around the world, as Dr. Shelley had mentioned, from Tanzania to the States, she has just done incredible things. You can learn more about Jessie Jensen on Facebook. You can also look into them at littleladystudios.com.
Dr. Shelley Hipsky's latest book, Ordinary People, Extraordinary Planet, is inspiring lives around the world. Find your copy at major bookstores and on Amazon.com.
And welcome back to Inspiring Lives with Dr. Shelley. We've been talking today with Farah Iglesias, but joining us now is someone who's very close to her. This person has been instrumental in spreading the Iglesias family's message of organ donation here and abroad. This person also knows all about Farah's amazing family, and she should. Please welcome Farah's sister, Ali Iglesias.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on Inspiring Lives with Dr. Shelley with Farah Iglesias.
Hi,
Farah. So your family did a lot in Argentina as far as getting this whole public service announcement campaign, this big media campaign going. And I'd like to take a look at one of those spots.
Okay, so this little boy here, he's very lucky. He got a transplant because Maria donated the organs for him, the kidney in this case. So the spot says, and here comes, there's life beyond death, donate your organs, and that would be the message.
So what else has your family done to advocate organ donation?
Well, we talk to everybody and anybody who will listen to us. Doctors, patients, families,
Friends.
Friends, ordinary people, extraordinary people like you who have allowed us to be in this show. So we'll talk to anybody that will listen about it. I personally would like to take this topic to schools because I believe that it's very important to create awareness while the minds are young and fresh and are open to new ideas. Especially with something like organ donation, which some people may consider to be either taboo or that unfortunately has a stigma attached to it.
Farah, you have beautiful little Sophia in your life, and I just love her. She's such a sweetheart. Can you tell us what it was like being pregnant, being on dialysis?
It was crazy.
I bet.
It was a roller coaster ride of emotions. It was just, well, you know, like your father explained, that's not very common. It's actually quite rare.
Right.
So I was told I was not going to be able to have children because of obviously my illness. So when I found out about my pregnancy, I was just beaming with excitement. I was just, I'm like, oh, I'm so lucky, I'm so happy. Unfortunately, my doctors did not share in the sentiment. They were concerned, to say the least, and their first suggestion was for me to have an abortion. They told me about the risks of the pregnancy, but I was already a mother. I already felt that little child growing inside of me, and I already loved her to death. So I did a lot of research, and together with my doctors, we implemented a more extensive dialysis schedule for me so that my body could function a little better, and hopefully that would help to carry the pregnancy through in a safer way. It was tough emotionally and physically. It was very taxing on me. Sophia was born on June 18th of 2003. She was a month early, but she was healthy and is very healthy. So you know, she's my miracle, and just like my mother before me, there's not a thing that I would not do for her.
Can you talk about what the importance of family is to you?
My family, we went through a lot of really bad, terrible moments together, and each of us has sacrificed a lot for each other. Ali and I were separated by distance during our teenage years, but we hold an unbreakable bond. We are sisters, we're family for here to the end. And the four of us, and I mean my father, my mother, my sister, and myself, we are each other's past, present, and future. And now that I have Sophia and Ali has beautiful Mika, they are our future also.
Yeah.
So can you talk just a little bit about what you've done volunteer-wise as a family?
Yeah. Well, when we first came here and Farah was going to dialysis, it was such a rough time for her. I decided to help my family. I was a translator for them for a while. And then I decided to volunteer for Family House. It's home away from home. That's what they call it. And it belongs to UPMC. And families who come from far away don't have a place to stay here while they're in treatments. They can stay there, and it still exists, of course. So I've been working there for a long time for them. So I'm still volunteering in different places internationally, and so also is Mika right now, my daughter.
Good.
So,
well, thank you both for being on my show today. Thank you to all of our guests this week. To Farinelli Iglesias, thank you for sharing with us the power of family and the importance of organ donation. And a special thank you to our official medical expert, my father, kidney specialist, Dr. Jeff Jacobs. As a daughter and mother myself, I was deeply touched by the Iglesias family's warmth and love. That love surpassed the boundaries of geography to meet the needs of a child. If you are moved as well, I urge you to become an organ donor so you too can help save a life. Until next time, I'm Dr. Shelley Hipsky. Remember that inspiration is just a story away.
Life is filled with struggles. Life can be filled with pain. Sometimes you need a little help to get back on your feet again. The help you need sometimes comes from an unlikely source. A helping hand to understand and get you back on course. The love you give comes back